Hi there guys, it's Martyn here, and in this video I thought I'd show off another collection, which in this case is the Disney Time to Believe collection. So those unfamiliar, I've already done videos on the Disney animated classics, which I own all 55 now because we've got Moana, and of course the Pixar collection, which goes up to Finding Dory, number 17. This collection is specifically Disney live action movies. Now, of course, this isn't all of the live action movies Disney's ever done. This collection currently stands at 22 titles, and Disney's definitely made a lot more than that. And it's an interesting selection really, because there's a lot of titles you would expect to get this sort of re-release, but I also think there's a lot of classic live action titles, such as say like all the Herbie movies. They haven't got a re-release here or anything like that. But I thought I'd just take you through one by one of each of these titles, give you my thoughts and opinions on them, and just stuff like that. Now, short disclaimer, I haven't seen a few of these, so I'm only going to give commentary, in-depth commentary should I say, on what I have seen. All the rest we'll just like skim over, talk about the reactions and stuff. So let's get started with the first one. So firstly, we have Mary Poppins, yep, released in 1964. I can see definitely why they chose this. I mean, it's one of the most popular live-action Disney movies ever. So there's your little description of it. I mean, it's pretty famous. The nanny who comes to the children, and she's quite magical, and Dick Van Dyke and his poor English accent, stuff like that. It's all stuff that we're quite familiar with. In terms of the cover, they're all slightly different, as you can just see there. I'll jump cut for all of these. So there is the actual main cover, which I think is pretty readily available. Bit more things on the back. Winner of 5 Academy Awards, including Best Actress. Also, yep, there's the tab there. I kept all these sealed. I'm not sure why, I just haven't got around to watching any yet. I think there's only one of these that isn't sealed, but yeah, I don't know why that is. It just is. But yeah, Mary Poppins, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's well worth your time. Now, jumping all the way on to 1979, we have The Black Hole. Yep, a 1979 release. This had some ambitious effects at the time, and this is one of those Disney films that I actually haven't yet seen, although I am very intrigued to watch it. I mean, it's sci-fi, I really enjoy my sci-fi, and it's Disney sci-fi, so the angle will be interesting there. Let's take a look at the actual cover. So there is the actual cover, The Black Hole, and there's the ship, which does look pretty impressive on the poster. I hope it's that impressive in the film. And yeah, as I said guys, I haven't got around to this one yet, but if you like The Black Hole, or if it's one of your favourites, let me know. Let me know if you enjoy The Black Hole. Hopping along to 1982, we have Tron, the original classic. And this one actually has the Time to Believe new collectible sleeve sticker. Now, fun fact about this one, this was the last one I found of these when the first 21 were released. I don't know why this was so hard to find. I don't know if this is the same case everywhere else, but this took me forever to find. Again, this is a classic movie. It had a lot of breakthrough CGs, it says in the blurb. Lots of references to video games. Obviously, the light cycles and the Tron suits are now iconic. Pretty much iconic in our culture today. A staple of the 80s. I haven't seen this all the way through, but I definitely know the legacy that this movie has. Let's take a look at the actual cover. So there we have it, Tron, the original classic. This is the 2-disc collector's edition, which I feel I replaced this. This is my copy of Tron 2-disc. I think this package only comes with the 1-disc release. So if you already have the 2 discs, you could just swap them out with the sleeve like I did. But yeah, I'm hoping to watch this in full at some point, but just from a cultural standpoint, you should definitely check out Tron. Okay, jumping a bit further along the decade, in 1988 we have Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, I only saw this Christmas Eve last year with my brother, but this is a hilarious movie, and it brilliantly combines live action with animation, as you can see in the poster. It's set in the 40s, so you really get a sense of that era. Jessica Rabbit's now an iconic character, wonder why. But it's also quite funny because it has appearances from a bunch of Disney characters and Warner Brothers characters, like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse sharing some screen time. But this is just a really good, fun movie. Like, I definitely recommend it. It's for any age, really. So let's have a look at the cover. So yeah, there's the pretty iconic poster for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Of course, it's a Robert Zemeckis film, and Steven Spielberg presents. So it's you know, of Back to the Future fame right there. Just have a quick look at the back. Got some special features as well. All that sort of stuff. What we got there. So, best film editing, best sound. A few Academy Awards by the looks of it. But yep, overall, you definitely should check out Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'd say it's one of the best films in this entire Time to Believe series. Skipping along to the 90s, we have 101 Dalmatians from 1996, featuring Glenn Close as the pretty damn scary Cruella de Vil. Now, this is a film that I grew up with. I actually saw this before the original 1961 animated version, and I actually really like this movie. I mean, it's not the best live-action adaptation, but it's definitely fun enough. You know, it's engaging. Of course, the story, for those who don't know, Cruella de Vil wants to make a coat out of Dalmatians, which is pretty sick when you think about it. She's also, you know, batshit crazy, which is always great for a villain. And yeah, it's entertaining, so let's look at the cover. There you have it, Glenn Close and 101 Dalmatians, and there's a bunch of them. So you get a more detailed synopsis back here. Best Actress in 1987, 1988, and Best Supporting Actress in 1982, 3 and 4. So yeah, Glenn Close has had a pretty, pretty distinguished career, and the fact she does this so well is brilliant. Now, a little fun fact, I would recommend this film highly. I'd also recommend the sequel to this, a live-action sequel, which is 102 Dalmatians. That came out in 2000, and it still stars Glenn Close's Cruella de Vil, which is fantastic. And yeah, that's pretty enjoyable. It's often not fondly looked upon, but if you haven't seen 102, you should definitely check out 101 Dalmatians. Now, of course, we're moving on to a franchise everybody knows about, and that is Pirates of the Caribbean, starting with The Curse of the Black Pearl from 2003. Now, this cover, I just want to say, this is some really beautiful cover art here. Probably some of the best I've seen for this release ever. And just flipping onto the back. Just got a little synopsis of it there. There's the poster. We've all seen that before. And of course, I mean, what can you say about this? This is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, Disney live-action film there is, with Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Let's have a look at the cover. There you go. There's the iconic cover. From the producer of Armageddon and Pearl Harbor, neither of which I've seen. Of course, you've got Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, Jeffrey Rush as well. Yeah, this is just a pretty fab movie. And if you haven't seen it, if I'd recommend seeing any of the Pirates films, it would probably be this one. The reason for that? Well, we're going to get into that right now. Because the sequel is Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest from 2006. Now, when this came out, I strangely remember this being actually very popular, though in hindsight, a lot of people don't seem to enjoy this as fondly as I think they did. I mean, it does carry on the story somewhat, and there is a cliffhanger ending, because of course this was filmed in tandem with the third movie in the franchise, which I'll get onto in a second, but let's check out the actual cover. So there you go, Dead Man's Chest. So now we've got Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley. Jeffrey Rush has been relegated, but anyway, Davy Jones is here as well. Yeah, a whole host of popular stuff there. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, in my opinion, this movie's fine enough. The first one's still superior in almost every way. But I mean, Dead Man's Chest is harmless. Quite harmless compared to what we're going to get into next. And what I mean by that, of course, is Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End from 2007. As I said, this was filmed in tandem with Dead Man's Chest and came out just around a year later. This was meant to sort of be the end of it, I guess. Well, what's the result? Well, to start with, if you can see the runtime, it's 2 hours and 41 minutes long. Yeah, so that's a start. And it's just a bit overlong, a bit too convoluted, a bit too... like, it just didn't need to be that long, and also it just got a bit weird. So let's have a look at the cover. There you go, there's that World's End to finish with. As I said, like, this film, I'd say this is the weakest of the Pirates films, just because I know it's trying to wrap up a story, but always the trouble when you shoot things back to back, it can either go really well, like Lord of the Rings, or it can not go so well, like this one. It just sort of all falls flat at the end, and it's not very satisfying to watch. Also, if you've got 2 hours 40 to slog out for this, so yeah, that's Pirates 3. Okay, also in that same year of 2007, we had Enchanted, which was a lot better than Pirates 3. This is a mix of animation and live action too, but not in the same sense as Roger Rabbit, as in it starts with animation and we mainly finish with animation. The bulk is live action. Of course, we've got Amy Adams here playing Princess Giselle, who finds herself thrown from the animation world into real life. I mean, it's a really quirky concept, how she has to learn and adapt, and, you know, obviously, does she fall for the human prince or the animation prince, as fairy tale goes? But yeah, let's have a look at the cover. So yeah, enchanting, of course, you've got like the witch with the apple, just going through every single fairy tale convention you can think of. And it's got some quirky little songs in there as well, which is always good. Yeah, I really liked Enchanted. I watched it when it first came out in 2007, and I've watched it many times since. I mean, is it the perfect live-action film? Probably not, but I mean, it's really fun, it's upbeat, it's Disney essentially taking the mick out of itself, and anyone who self-deprecates well, like this film, it always comes off as being really funny. So yeah, I mean, out of all these 22 titles, this is one I would highly recommend that you check out if you haven't already. Flash forward a bit to 2010, and you have the release of Alice in Wonderland. And of course, this is the Tim Burton remake. I have only recently just watched the 1951 original, which I covered on this most recent Sunday film review. But that was quirky enough. I haven't seen this yet, and I dread to think what Tim Burton does with this. Hindsight from what I've heard, I mean, most opinions I've heard on this film, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people prefer the sort of colourful zaniness of the 51 version. I hear this is a bit, still colourful, I mean, from the poster, but I hear it's still a bit like, bit drabby, bit this, bit that, you know, Tim Burton-y as we know him. So let's look at the cover. And there you go. See, that's a more colourful image than what's presented, but Johnny Depp's the Mad Hatter, of course, and I mean, I like Johnny Depp. I don't know if this will be a good performance, but what we got here? Fantastic fun for the whole family. Yeah, I mean, this movie did really well. I think, in fact, it even grossed over $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken, or it was really close. So, I mean, it did well financially. Whether it stands up to the 51 version, I've yet to see for myself, but hopefully when I do check this out, it won't be a disappointment. Okie dokie. Also in the same year, we had Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Now this is based off the very popular 2003 video game, Sands of Time, which I played a bit of, not that much. I mean, it was a good game. Gotta be honest, never saw this movie. By this point, I was well aware of video game movies and their reputation, so I think I decided to stay well away. Let's look at the cover. So yeah, here's Sands of Time. From the producer of Pirates of the Caribbean, and you got Ben Kingsley and Jake Gyllenhaal, but I think from what I remember about this, the reception wasn't very good or wasn't praised very highly, didn't do financially well or critically well, which begs the question, I'm very surprised this film was included for this sort of Time to Believe re-release. I do have a few theories for this. One could be obviously they're trying to push it back out in the public eye again, trying to get it out to more people, try and get it, I don't know, more appeal for it. But then you think, why was this put out in the space of, say, I don't know, like the Herbie films from the 60s and 70s? They could have done just fine here, but no, apparently we got Prince of Persia. It could also be the fact it's a 21st century movie, it's more recognisable than some of the older ones. But I mean, you got Black Hole on here, which a lot of my friends don't know, so yeah, don't know why it's here, but Prince of Persia. Moving further on, also in 2010, so you got three here, is Tron Legacy, the sequel to Tron. Now, I'm assuming, again, haven't seen it, Jeff Bridges is in it, but I mean, with a film like this, when you've got a lot of CGI, updating something that was very popular for its CGI at the time, I think this got like a mixed reception from what I remember. Let's look at the cover. So there's the cover, a bit blander if I'm honest, but anyway. So there's your synopsis, there's some images, your bonus features, stuff like that. Yeah, as I said, I think this was like mildly received compared to the original. I mean, a lot of the fans of the original would have gone to see it. I mean, it is called Legacy. But again, I haven't seen it myself, so I don't know how this stacks up. You guys, if you've seen both or just this one, let me know how it is, because I'll be watching it at some point, and hopefully when I do, it'll be decent. And now into 2011, we have Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Yes, the fourth movie. I remember this sort of came out of nowhere, like I don't think myself or anyone was expecting a fourth movie. I remember they paid Johnny Depp a ridiculous amount to reprise this role, somewhere of like maybe 50 million or something crazy. But yeah, I saw this in the cinema. I didn't think it was awful. I definitely didn't think it was the best Pirates movie, but it wasn't that bad. I definitely think this is better than at World's End. But let's look at the cover. So yeah, there we go. I mean, yeah, Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley aren't in this. Jeffrey Rush is. So it's a bit of a mishmash, really. And again, it's nice to see a bit of a change of pace, but we didn't really need a fourth Pirates movie. Yes, I'm aware there's a fifth. I'll talk on that a bit later, but yeah, better than 3, not as good as 1 or 2. It's Pirates 4. Right, and now into 2012, we have John Carter. Oh, baby. I didn't see this because it wasn't really promoted back, or not around my area of the UK. I know this is one of, if not the biggest Disney box office bomb. Like, this thing just tanked. It tanked badly. I remember my dad rented it from Blockbuster. Yes, we still rented from Blockbuster as late as 2012. And he rented this, and I remember he watched it, and he said it was like, alright, cover time. And I think from looking at the cover and the synopsis and what I'm getting in for, that looks like all it's going to be, just alright. I mean, this thing, you know, says it's going to be Star Wars for a new generation. I doubt that because we haven't heard from it since. And yeah, all I can assume is that it's alright. I remember some people did pan this tremendously, but then some people said it was okay. But again, this just begs the question why this was chosen to be part of this series when it just tanked so bad. It just makes me think Disney were just trying so hard to get these failures out in the eye again. So yeah, don't know why it's here, but it's just John Carter. Now into 2013, here's one I did see, which is Oz, the Great and Powerful. This film is really interesting. So you got James Franco as the Wizard and Mila Kunis as what will become the Wicked Witch of the West, the Green Witch. Yeah, this film's interesting because this is essentially another option to Wicked. For those of you who don't know, Wicked is a musical that serves as a prequel to the events of the Wizard of Oz film, showing how Glinda and Elphaba, which is the Wicked Witch of the West, sort of came to be where they are. This is also sort of a prequel type thing. It's basically saying you can either choose Wicked or you can choose Oz the Great and Powerful. It does focus more on the wizard, but it also has a lot on the witches as well. Cover time. So yeah, I did see this in the cinema in 2013, and I remember it wasn't the worst thing ever, but I mean, I think if I'm being honest, in terms of story, I definitely preferred Wicked as a prequel to this. There's nothing wrong with this prequel story, not in my opinion, but if you're being honest, Wicked is just more thoroughly told, and obviously it has the soundtrack as well, which is amazing. But yeah, see Wicked if you can. Check this out as well if you want the option, but if you just want one or the other, stick to Wicked. Alright, shifting on to 2013 still, we have The Lone Ranger. Johnny Depp again as Tonto. Now this was an old franchise, I believe, whether it was newspaper or old cartoon, something like that. But yeah, it was an old series, and I remember there was quite a lot of hype for it coming back. It was quite exciting. I didn't see it. My dad and my brother did, and they were like, eh. It was just okay. I mean, again, the runtime's 2:23, which my dad claimed was too long for a story like this. Let's look at the cover. So there you go, The Lone Ranger, Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer, that's the other one. Oh yes, those who brought you pirates again, and yeah, this got very mixed reviews. Some people really panned it, some people liked it, but again, this just, I think, confirms the theory Disney's trying to push its 21st century live-action titles. Even if they're not well received, they're just pushing them on out here. So if you haven't seen it, then I guess if you want, check out The Lone Ranger. Now in 2014, we have Maleficent with Angelina Jolie. So for those who don't know, this is the story of the villain from the classic Sleeping Beauty film of 1959, sort of just showing her story in a live-action form. And this film is pretty good. I saw it soon after its cinema release. I thought I liked it, but upon watching it again, I actually really enjoyed it. Let's look at this cover. So there you go, there's Angelina looking all mean as Maleficent. And yeah, Maleficent has obviously a very renowned reputation in the Disney universe for being one of, if not the greatest villain in the Disney canon. And I'm definitely not going to dispute that, because she's pretty terrifying. I think she is equally terrifying in Sleeping Beauty itself, but out of all the live-action sort of adaptations of other villains or remakes, this is one you definitely need to check out. Jumping on to 2015, we have Cinderella. This, of course, being the remake of the 1950 animated film. So for 65 years, what do we get? Well, it's a very thorough retelling of the tale. I believe it's more faithful to the source material. It's a lot darker, it's a bit more gritty in tone. That waist is very small. And yeah, good performances all around. I actually really liked this, and I think sadly I'd seen this before I'd actually seen the animated version, so yeah, that's going to get me a lot of trouble. But I do like the animated version now seeing it, but this was a pretty good film too. I mean, I don't know why it got some backlash, but it's, yeah, cover time. There she is, Cinderella. And yeah, as I say, oh, there you go, it's got the animated short Frozen Fever as well, which, because obviously Frozen was booming, it's like a 6-minute little film, bit quirky. Yeah, not the most perfect of these, because this of course started the trend, or the main trend now, of doing more live action remakes, for better or for worse. This is not one of the worst, this is a good one, but of course we'll move on to some of the others in time. So also in 2015 you have Tomorrowland, A World Beyond, starring George Clooney. Yeah, I didn't see this one, it wasn't out in cinemas very long from what I remember. And it's quite long as well, 2 hours 5. And just didn't hear that many good things about it. Well, let's look at the cover first. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I mean, it's based mainly off the concept of Tomorrowland, which is part of the attractions at Disney World. I mean, you can't say that's not been done before. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean was based off a ride. But yeah, I heard very mixed things about this, saying, oh, it didn't go as far as it could have gone, blah, 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 you know, but I don't think it was panned. It was just sort of there. It came and it went. So, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in it, check it out. Now, moving to 2016, we have The Jungle Book, which is the live-action remake of the 1967 animated film. I'm aware there was a live-action remake before this, I think in the 90s, but that's not really talked about, whereas this is. This was quite unique at the time because it was the first film where the only real thing that you saw on screen was this boy. Everything else was CGI, green screen, and very well done. The effects are very, very impressive. I'm not going to discount that. And you've got some very big names doing the voices, like Bill Murray's Baloo, Ben Kingsley is Bagheera, Idris Elba is Shere Khan, Scarlett Johansson is Car for a fleeting second. I'm sorry for spoilers, she's not in it that much. Yeah, this was fine. I mean, again, I didn't think this was... The animated version is definitely better, okay? And whilst we're talking about that, let's look at the cover. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, the animated version is definitely better, like a million times better if you ask me. But this was fine enough. I don't think it crashed and burned like some other remakes can do. This one was fine. If you like The Jungle Book, you may as well see what the remake gives you. And still in 2016, we have Alice Through the Looking Glass, which is the sequel to the 2010 remake, still starring Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter. Yeah, I didn't see this one. Let's have a look at that. So Magical Mirror, Wonderland, yeah. So she's got to save the Mad Hatter. So apparently this one's a bit more quirky and on its head. Didn't see it at the time. Heard mixed things. Let's look at the cover. Yeah, I might have the least to say about this, because as I say, I haven't seen the original, I haven't seen this, so there's not a great deal I can really say. Let me know if you guys like this one, but until I get watching it, I've got to do the 2010 remake first, but that is Alice Through the Looking Glass. And closing off 2016, we have Pete's Dragon, which is a remake of a 70s film that used animation live action. Haven't seen the original, and if I'm being honest with you, in this case I'd like to see the original before I see this remake. Just hearing from friends and fellow fans, they say it's better to see the original and then see this one. Let's look at the cover. There you go, Pete's Dragon. So, and again, from what I've heard, this is a decent movie. I didn't think this was panned. It got some decent reviews, got some fan appraisal, but as I said, I would really love to see the original Pete's Dragon before I delve into Pete's Dragon 2016. Now, just to let you guys know, from Mary Poppins all the way up till Pete's Dragon, this was the original 21 titles release, and I think they're still going, but I snapped these up pretty quick. But of course, recently they released a 22nd title, which I thought they might do, which is Beauty and the Beast, which is the 2017 remake of the 1991 animated film starring Emma Watson, amongst others. And yeah, been interesting to get my thoughts on this one. Let's look at the cover. So there's the famous image all in its glory. You got some famous cast members like Josh Gad, Ewan McGregor, Ian McKellen, Emma Thompson, all that sort of stuff. The cast is good. I saw this film in the cinema, and let's bear in mind, guys, Beauty and the Beast is my favourite animated film of all time, favourite Disney movie, one of my top 10 favourite movies of all time. And this remake, it was good. Like, it wasn't... okay, in my opinion, this is the best of the live-action remakes we've had so far. So not including 101 Dalmatians, I'm talking this recent trend, starting with Cinderella. Out of Cinderella, The Jungle Book, and Beauty and the Beast, because that's what I've seen, this is the best of those three, without a doubt. The songs are great. The two songs, Be My Guest, gave me that old Disney feeling again, as did the Mob song. They were great. The cast, like Gaston, LeFou, the guys around the castle, brilliant. The Beast, brilliant. You know where I'm going with this. The one problem I had was Emma. Not so much her acting, though I did think she was a bit wooden, but the main problem, the singing, the auto-tune was so hard to listen to, so hard to process. I like Emma Watson as much as the next person, right? I think she's a decent actress, and she does, you know, what she can on the social side, humanitarian side, all that sort of stuff. But for this, you should have just cast someone else. Cast someone else who could do it all, not just who, yes, she looks the part, of course she does, she can act, yes, but singing... like, it was just such a shame because I really actually enjoyed 2017 Beauty and the Beast, but to have it let down so much by its leading character was just such a crushing blow. But I would still recommend this film to anyone who enjoyed the original or who hasn't, or if you haven't seen this live action remake yet, you should watch it because it's fun and it's different to the original in its own way, but it's definitely not superior, not by a long shot, thanks to Emma Watson. Sorry, Emma. Better luck next time. And with Beauty and the Beast, ladies and gentlemen, that is the entire Disney Time to Believe collection, all 22 titles. Now, as I said, originally it was 21. They put Beauty and the Beast out a few months after its DVD release. Now, obviously the big live-action film that we're waiting on for DVD is Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Salazar's Revenge. Or is it Dead Man Tell No Tales? Because no one's given me a definitive answer. But yes, that is out on DVD soon, and the trend with this series, as it has been with Pixar, as it has been with the animated classics, they'll release the DVD on its own first, no cover, no nothing, then give it 3 or 4 months, they'll rebrand it with this at a discounted price. And if they do it with Pirates 5, I'll get it, because I didn't see it in the cinema, and I will watch it, because I've seen the other 4. If you want to know where to get this series, if you're in the UK, like I am, any major DVD or media store, so primarily HMV, they're doing them at decent prices. They're not all the same, they vary on title. Some of the cheap ones, like I think Black Hole, Roger Rabbit, some of them were $3.99, others are $4.99. The most common you'll get, though, is about $5.99. The newer ones, so Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book, Pete's Dragon, they'll be about $6.99. So overall, not a bad price if you want them in these sleeves. But I believe they are limited, as they're doing with Pixar and Disney. They'll only be out for a certain amount of time, because they do them periodically. So if you're interested, you should definitely pick these up. Also, just a little disclaimer, I do have a professional Twitter account, which I use for acting, but I branch it out social media-wise to you guys. So if you're interested in what I'm doing, not just on the video side, but on the acting side as well, go and follow me on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle below. I also have an Instagram account. I'll leave the name of that in there as well. And just go and support me, and so you can help support the channel and all that other good stuff. More videos will be coming on the way. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.